Hey
guys.
Welcome to This Is Not a Podcast. I'm Keith.
I'm Jade.
I'm Callison.
In this episode, spoiler alert, Zach wins.
He does.
Let's get into it. So this was a 2-day finale. How did this episode start on day one?
JoJo came and talked to Tayshia, which was surprising. I didn't know she was still there.
Yeah, she was there, apparently.
Making all the appearances,
Giving some
JoJo.
inspiration and such.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that caught your mind, Callison, with JoJo?
With JoJo? I don't know. JoJo just keeps popping up, but she's a great little gal with good advice. I think because she was a bachelorette herself, she has really good insight. Okay, so after that, we have Ivan's 101 in the ice water challenge, where they break a world record, right?
Yeah, apparently there's a world record for that.
Yeah,
so.
which is kind of crazy. You're like, surely someone beat that. But
Ivan was struggling for sure.
yeah, she was so calm, but I think it was because
she was so still.
Oh, yeah, but she had her hand. Did you notice? She had her arms out of the water around his neck, and he somehow chose to like dip his arm in. Not only that, but put his arm around her, which surely it made her feel better. But like he didn't have to have his other arm in ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the official rules were because they were both in separate ice buckets. That helped. I mean, that helps make them colder.
Yeah.
But I'm suspicious about Tayshia. She doesn't sweat. She doesn't freeze.
Yeah.
What is
fine.
Tayshia? And how come she
Ice
doesn't?
queen.
So weird. She's always glowing. She looks perfect. There's no sweat on her.
Yeah.
Super
no
suspicious.
issues at all. I thought it was interesting that she took him on this date. Just because, like, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. And I'm like, all the dates that I could choose to do with a guy, like, I'm going to probably choose a guy to go that I like to go on a date that's more romantic, more, where we can really bond. I mean, I see that the bonding aspect of that, but it seems almost like, let's make a world record happen. Like, while we're here, like, let's just, have something fun while I'm here as a bachelorette. Like,
so the ice bucket challenge is not romantic?
Not romantic, no. I mean, I guess they made it romantic in a way, but I don't know. Like, I just thought it was a weird date to start with, and it made sense why she picked Ivan to me, which I thought he was the weak link.
Yeah. So the last time there was a world record contest on The Bachelorette, it was, or that I can remember, it was, what's their names? The guy, it was like the spiciest.
Yeah,
it was the spiciest or hottest kiss.
Oh, and it was with the couple that's together now.
Yeah, they're like the best couple. I can't remember their names.
Oh my gosh, Jared.
Yes.
Jared is one.
No, not Jared. You're thinking of Ashley and Jared.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No.
It wasn't them?
No.
It was the one on Bachelor in Paradise with the guy who is the doctor of the...
Of the genitals.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Why did I think it was
and there was spit. Ugh, disgusting.
And this was when What's-Her-Face wasn't really into him.
The girl kind of reminds me of Claire, the other girl. Kind of. She kind of looks like
Is it not
Claire.
Ivan?
She's a little bit
Is that not his name?
normal.
Is his
Yeah.
Evan?
Evan, yes. So Evan, that was the last time they did that.
Evan and...
I want to say Claire, but it's not Claire.
Oh my gosh, I cannot remember her name.
But anyways, so they got the world record for that?
Yeah, they made the... They did. They got it, right?
Yeah, they had to eat a pepper and then kiss.
The world's spiciest kiss. And then they had to hold it.
The Bachelor's really into torturing people.
Yeah, I would not want to do that.
It's a reoccurring trend here. Okay, so after the ice water challenge where they win, do you remember what happens after that, their little convo?
No, what happened?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, before
I know that they did. Oh, they had the fantasy suite, but they had...
Oh, yeah.
They had the fantasy suite, but let's go back a few minutes before, as soon as Ivan leaves to go on the date, okay, Zach says something, I'm pretty sure it's Zach, and he says, I would let Ivan date my sister.
Oh, yeah, it was like
so
in between
you
moment.
really know that Ivan's a really good guy.
Yeah, I don't
If
know
some
about
other
my
random guys
girlfriend, but
saying,
my sister, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would let my sister date him. I don't know how I feel about my girlfriend dating him,
So that just shows you how nice of a guy Ivan is off and on camera.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're at the fantasy suite.
Yeah.
RV.
Fantasy suite. You call it an Airstream.
Airstream.
Super fancy RV.
Yeah. Airstreamers would be offended if we called it an RV, though.
Sorry, it's an Airstream.
Yeah. And one of the in-between moments they had before the fantasy suite was when Zach gets the date card. Do you remember that with Brendan in the room?
What did he say?
And Brendan was so uncomfortable with everything. You could see it in his
Yeah.
face. He was just really awkward. And I think the date card said, Zach, let's explore each other. Love, Tayshia.
Let's explore each other. Love, Tayshia.
And it was hilarious because Brendan read the date card to Zach, and he was like, Zach, let's explore each other. Love, Tayshia. And he
Ew.
sat on the couch, and you could just see his face, like, he was just like really messed
Something
up in
I
the
want
head
to
about
point
it.
out real quick.
Yep.
Why they did this on Peter's season, where the girls were with each other during
Yep.
the week of fantasy suites, and that's not normal. They used to not do that.
Yeah.
And then they did it in this season too.
Yeah. So I think there's how to make the guys as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah.
Is
For good TV.
put them all together.
Yeah, why would they
after
do
their
that?
fantasy
Yeah.
suite? But the guys weren't like confused though when was it Brendan who didn't show back up?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they weren't
yeah.
that
They
confused.
weren't like, oh my gosh, that means Brendan's gone. They were like, they didn't think about that. at all.
I don't think they realized until the rose ceremony, right?
Yeah,
Like
pretty much.
they're like,
Yeah.
he got swapped out for Ben.
So as it is weird, they all kind of went to the same room. Is it because they were supposed to go to the same room, or because they were bored and just wanted to talk to each other, or was it
Hard
set
to
up
say.
that way, or
No.
just make each other uncomfortable?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
hard
know.
to say. But
Do we approve of this putting the guys together?
No, I don't like it.
Can we stop
it's
doing that in
awkward.
the future?
It's super awkward.
Yeah,
but
because then they can't talk about how they feel when they get the date card. Like genuinely, they have to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can't wait."
Yeah, so excited.
Like, because then
Yeah.
you're like kind of friends with the other people a little
it's
bit.
just really uncomfortable situation,
just like,
especially
yeah.
being the last like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
And then, so after that point, that awkward moment with Brendan, we flash back to Ivan's date, and he says that he's falling in love with her, and I believe she says, "I'm falling in love with you back." But I thought it was interesting because they didn't say "I love you" yet.
Ivan and her.
They didn't say "I love you" and "I love you too." It was "I'm falling in love with you."
So let's cut to Zach's date. What is it? What happens? Who is involved? Action.
He can't wait to explore, explore, explore,
Explore each other.
explore each
love.
other.
And how are we exploring
Explore,
each other?
Explore.
Not
All
the
he
way that
said
you
was
would
explore.
think, but eventually the way you think. But it was a date with painting. Remember? They had a big canvas and they painted their body, and it got a little sensual at the end. And
Personally, I think their art wasn't that good.
yeah, lame art.
He just rolled around in paint.
But they both end up. Well, they do the painting thing. Did you notice that Zach touched her butt when they were cleaning each other off in the shower after?
She touched his butt.
No, he touched her butt.
Oh, he touched
Yeah.
her butt.
That's
Like,
like
fully
the quote
grabbed.
from Finding Nemo.
Fully touched the butt.
I touched the butt.
And then he told her that he loves her, and she told him back that she loves him. Very different than falling in love, which we had just seen with Ivan. So I definitely took note of that.
Yeah.
And then they do the fantasy suite, and they looked really, really, really happy. That's one thing that I remember from that.
And they had a real like heated facility.
Yeah, it was a lot better than the whole Airstream thing. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
A lot bigger bed. They got to jump on the bed. That was cute.
Yeah.
And I just noticed going back to the love thing, you can tell that her hearing from a guy that I love you is huge to her. It's like the magic words. That's why Bennett got back. That's why Ben got back. And I think that's why Zach progressed above. Ivan didn't quite have other things that we found out later, but progressed above anyone else. Like he was able to say, "I love you. I'm not falling. I love you."
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
definitely the most open out of the group.
And
I
then
guess.
also she was there too. Like there wasn't any brokenness like with Bennett or brokenness with Ben. It was at the rate it should be, and I think that's probably why it.
So jumping back to Claire's season and her date of the love languages, I think Tayshia's love language would be words of affirmation
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And acts of
Yes.
service.
and gifts. All of the love languages is like,
I think hers is definitely acts of service. Because have you seen the interview where she's like, I was just pacing around the pool.
I've seen no interviews.
I haven't seen
I think it was
that.
after the final rose for them. She's like, I was pacing around the pool with anxiety, and all he did was just walk with me.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, so the last person to have that date is Brendan.
Yeah, and he had the most exciting date
He did.
in the Bachelor
That-
history.
He had no idea who Neil Lane was.
I'm Neil.
Brendan,
Yeah.
this is Neil Lane. He's a very important man.
Yeah, that was interesting.
He's
He
like,
doesn't watch The Bachelor.
oh, it's nice to meet you, sir.
I wouldn't say
Like,
it
who
was.
the hell is this guy?
And Neil's like almost like offended inside. Like, you should know who I am.
know
Yeah.
my name.
You don't know who
It was
I
a
am."
total ad for Neil Lane.
He's
Yeah.
got so much ad time in this show.
But also, I feel like even though it wasn't the most exciting date by any means, it was a pretty intense date. Like, she said herself that Brendan's had my heart from day one, before
Yeah.
the date.
She said that it was like game over, I'm marrying him.
Yeah, and
after
why
their
would
one-on-one.
you choose that date for anyone else than the person that you were planning on, actually being with? Like,
Yeah.
That's
or
the show
hoping
trying to trick us.
I know that it is
It
a show
is.
trying to trick, but I mean,
He was so uncomfortable.
he
though.
was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Was he not?
It
Like, he
was-
was shaking at some point.
Yeah, it was awkward
When he
to
put on
watch
the ring?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had, his expressions were just so awkward, and he did not want to be there.
Do you like this ring? Yup, it's the ring, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really uncomfortable, and then ultimately, what happened there,
Mm-hmm.
dude?
So they moved on to their date portion, like the dinner. And he's saying like, oh my gosh, I really like want kids and I want to
Yeah.
be married and I want all of that, but he still needs time to heal and grow from his past relationship, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah.
But I think he ultimately did the right thing by telling Tayshia that and not like leading her on and then getting to like possibly him down on one knee and he's like, sorry, I can't do that because
Yeah, and 3 months later, he'll be in Bachelor
He
in
just
Paradise.
wasn't ready. He thought he
Yeah.
was, but he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
He'll be healed. And
I appreciate him doing that though. And
Me
I think
too.
Tayshia understood as well and kind of knew that that was
Yeah.
for the best.
so is Tayshia like done crying over the guys?
I know she
I
didn't
think
cry
so. This episode,
know.
the guys that you think would mean the most to her, she has no emotions
Like-
towards. It doesn't seem.
Yeah.
At
Blake
least.
goes home. Riley goes home.
Yeah.
Brendan goes home.
No, she cried about Brendan.
Kind of.
She didn't cry about Ben though.
Just
Yeah.
it was more like teary eyed, but no, not like hardcore cry, right?
I don't know. I thought that was the saddest breakup
Really. It was.
because I
sad.
really liked them
I
together.
thought it needed to happen, but it was sad.
Yeah. Well, Rachel
And-
comes to visit next.
Yay, more advice from past bachelorettes.
This is how I feel.
And
This
she
is getting
kind of
really real.
her advice
Her
foreshadows.
accent kills me.
I love Rachel. She's so great.
Do you notice how she says feel instead of saying feel? It's Phil.
Phil. Yeah, yeah.
And then she does. This is so real. It's
I love
real.
her. She's,
That's all I noticed her whole season. I was like,
say it right.
your
Say it right.
accent, your accent is killing me.
But she gives good advice that foreshadows actually what was going to happen, which is ironic. I wonder if she had
It
inside
seems
information.
sort of suspicious.
I wonder if she had inside information.
So,
either that or it was a big conversation, and then they took that clip out because they knew it was going to be relative.
Hey, Rachel, there's a suspicious contestant still chilling. He's refusing
Yeah.
to leave,
He
and he's
refused
planning
to
on
leave.
coming back. Bring up past regrets about
Yeah.
other contestants. With,
Dude, you know, when she was she the Bachelorette?
yeah.
Yeah.
Who, Rachel?
Rachel.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw her season.
She was the first
I remember her as
Black
a
Bachelorette.
contestant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she gave the advice. She said, well, not advice really, but it was a question. She said, have you thought about anyone that you have, let go?
Who
Because
would,
I
who would
did.
bring up that question?
Yes. That's why I think that
The
there was some
producers.
inside scoop involved that she knew of. Was there any other advice that you remember besides that she
No,
gave?
just that she wants Ben to come back, I guess. And all of a sudden he comes back and he loves her.
I know.
Oh, boy.
That was huge, and that was the end of the first episode, really.
Yeah.
Where it leaves us on the cliffhanger of whether or not she's going to take him in.
But I'm in love with you.
And ultimately, what happens? She does. She takes him back, and it was a hard little kind of transition because she was about to go into the rose ceremony, and it was really complicated. But she, of course, had feelings for Ben,
Yeah.
and with those feelings, she had to honor that and and see where it went. And so we replaced Brendan, who left, with Ben, and that happened at the rose ceremony.
Well, Tayshia was really upset with herself because she kissed him, and she's like, "Oh my God, I shouldn't have done that.
Why did I do that? Why did I do that?"
Yeah. And I thought that was a bad mistake on her part. I mean, she can't go back in time, but that's how she felt in the moment, so whatever. But I agree.
Yeah.
I think she shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I agree with her that she shouldn't have done that.
But I relate to it. Like, it's hard not to if you really had feelings for that person. So with the rose ceremony, so Ben shows up at the rose ceremony, and we swap out, like I said, Brendan for Ben now. And instead of doing the typical rose thing, she picks up the rose to start, divvying him out like she normally does. Then she sets him back down. And she says...
Wait, back up 2
What?
seconds.
Back up.
Zach was kind of mad that Ben was there.
Yeah, everyone should be mad.
Yeah.
He was like, but I think Zach was more mad because he knew that she wasn't going to end up with Ivan. He had to have known that. So he's like, I'm going to be with her. And then Ben shows up and he's like, oh, that's shit. I might not end up with her. And so he was like really upset that he was there.
Yeah. But he also he held strong in a way. He was still confident, and he was not going to give up on her, or didn't question her character for bringing back on, which some guys could have. I mean, we've seen
and
that.
he never.
Joseph probably would. He'd be like, what the heck?
You know what? I think he's Zach is just so mature. He hasn't been in any drama.
I know.
Like this whole season.
He's a very mature man. Yeah.
But when she calls Ivan and she puts down the rose, me and all my friends, when we were watching it, we were like cracking up because he's like, "What's up?"
Yeah. What's up?
What's up?
You got what's up? Yeah.
He was so shocked that she was gonna pull him aside.
Yeah.
And he had to have known that something bad was about to happen.
Yeah, and something bad did happen. Which, I mean, objectively, not so bad because she ended up with who she needed to be with, and it had to happen eventually anyways.
Yeah.
But, they had the little sit down, and I guess what had happened in the fantasy suite was they had talked a little bit about religion and her beliefs versus his beliefs, and they didn't align. And because she is so, and I believe she's Christian, she is so founded in her beliefs, she couldn't be with someone who didn't share that. And so that's why I think she felt so convicted to just say goodbye.
Yeah.
Do
you think they talked about that in the fantasy suite, or did they talk about it on camera? Because I don't remember that happening.
I think it was in the fantasy suite.
Said fantasy suite. I don't remember
I think
hearing
she
it on
mentioned
camera.
it. She said, now that I knew about it, and he had dropped that bomb in the fantasy suite. He said that he had brought it up, and he thought it was going to blow up, and it did.
Yeah, so. I'm kind of upset that he waited that long.
I am too. Yeah, but I think he always knew he wanted a chance.
Yeah, and then she's like been open about her religion, right?
Yeah,
with the guys,
open.
I feel like she's mentioned like her faith before.
Yeah.
And if he should have brought that to her attention way earlier on, and she could have had other people that
actually shared those beliefs.
Would have.
Progressed.
She could have ended up with somebody different, but I mean, she's ended up with who she's supposed to. Everything happens for a reason, but
yeah. So she lets Ivan go, and he's shocked, of course. He didn't think it was.
Is he that shocked?
I didn't think he was shocked.
He was shocked more in the car because he was like, I just can't. I can't believe that happened. Like, I can't believe
that
she let me go. And I think it was kind of like the Ben thing. Like, he's probably like, once he got home, he's like, what the heck? Like, I was in the last last two. And then he got sent home. Like, he could have been with her if it weren't for that.
Right.
And I think in some ways, Ivan would have been a really steady guy for her. But I think what we find out in the end is Zach is a very steady guy too, but has a lot of other great characteristics for her. Yeah.
I think her family would have really liked Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if she would have picked Ivan instead of Ben, or if Ben didn't show up and it was just Ivan, then her family would have been like pro Ivan the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
And try to convince her to go with Ivan instead of Zach.
Because he's such a steady force, yeah.
And then there'd be conflict in the family, and then she'd be sad, and then she would pick Ivan and regret it for the rest of her life, and then she'll go back to Zach.
Yeah.
Hey, everything happens for a reason. Yeah. She was supposed to be with Zach, and it ended up perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So it worked out just the way it should have.
So moving on to
Meet the parents.
Ben's date. Oh, no, meeting the parents?
Meet the parents, and then Ben's date through the meet the parent thing. So So Ben, like I said, goes first. He brings the little flowers, and I think for the most part it's a little bit uneventful. Nothing really huge happened, but I think the overall feel that I got from the Ben situation was that he did pretty good. He did really good, you know, for the situation that he was in, like coming out of nowhere after being, you know, sent home.
Her dad really liked him.
Yeah, but not as much as Zach. Not as much as Zach.
Well, when he was talking to her dad, he was saying a lot of the right things. He was being really open and sincere, and her dad was like, "I can tell
he's
you're
a good guy. I'll give him a chance."
Yeah, like you seem like a really genuine guy, and you seem serious and the real deal. But
I didn't like get any sort of like the family liked one person more than the other.
I didn't either.
Oh, I 100% got that they like Zach a lot more. Yeah, yeah, because it happened twice. I'll explain. So the first time was the way that he even talked about and the way he lit up about each guy. The first time with Ben, he was very iffy about. He said, you know, I don't know about him. You know, then when Ben spoke to him about how like he had to stay with it and he explained the situation, he felt better about it. And he said he's a good guy and I'll give him a chance with his words. And he was still iffy, you know, happy, let him go. But then we see Zach come in, and the way that he lights up with Zach and the way he's like, yes, you're saying all the right things. Yes, I can trust you. I trust you with my daughter. I feel confident now. I feel better about giving my daughter up.
Yeah.
And then he comes and speaks about, well, to Tayshia about the whole situation and trying to protect her heart. But he says, Ben's a good guy. And Zach, I really, really, really like. You know, I really like Zach.
Mm-hmm. When her dad came to knock on the door, she was like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
Like she thought somebody else was.
Yeah.
Me and my friend were like,
Here comes
"Oh
Bennett."
my god!" We were like, "Oh my god, Brendan's coming
I know,
back."
another guy. It's Ed. He just
We
it's
thought
Ed.
it might have been Brendan. We were like, "Oh my god, if Brendan shows
you
up, she's
think?
gonna lose her."
I didn't
herself.
even. I mean, I guess I had seen that he was there and he was on the couch with her, so I just knew that it was him. But I guess she didn't. And so Zach states next, and
Yeah, I thought Zach was being kind of creepy, and he was making me super uncomfortable watching
Really?
him. Her mom, if you couldn't tell, she was like leaning away
Really?
when he was talking to her, and she just, because he was just being super open, and like,
Yeah.
he had his arm like, and he's like, "I love your daughter,"
yeah,
like,
yeah.
being super. I don't know. I just thought it was weird. I mean,
It's funny that we read it differently there.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember that situation. I didn't really overanalyze that, but I definitely saw that Zach impressed her dad way more than Ben did. I thought that was very clear.
He said all the right things. Like, he set the bar high.
Yeah.
Keith, why aren't you talking?
Yeah, you guys are good. I got nothing to say.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a very eventful date to begin with. There wasn't a lot that happened, but I definitely believe that Zach's was so much better than Ben's. And I thought that really pushed him ahead of Ben. And so after that, what I said happens is the door knock, and it was...
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they normally do a date after meeting the parents?
I don't recall, but I think maybe because imagine we're in Paris and the parents are in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
And they go do something in Paris after.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember the family's always in some remote, like, exotic place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so dad comes and knocks on the door and puts doubts in her mind regarding getting married, which is a good dad-like thing to do, given he doesn't want to see her hurt. He doesn't want to see her in the same situation she was in, and he doesn't want her to rush it. Yeah, she's in this situation already, and she's agreed to it, but I think she needed that dad, just extra voice there that's like, okay, are you sure that this is what you want?
Yeah, and I think she was definitely leaning towards Ben.
You think?
Yeah, but because he's similar, he seems like he might be similar to her past relationship that
you think?
ended. And then her dad was like, kind of got that feeling that she might have been more into Ben. And he had to come there and be like, don't make the same mistake twice. Like, you should know, like, real love between, like, real love versus, like, just being smitten with somebody,
Yeah.
I guess. And I think she was smitten with Ben and she was attracted to him, but, like, she was in love with Zach.
And she
she struggled through through their date that they had. that same day or the next day.
What was the date?
It was, well,
They
the
went
date-
dancing, and she was
Zach,
like,
went, Zach and her went,
yeah, Zach and her went dancing, and she was like in her head and like kept messing up, and then she's like, I can't find anything wrong with Zach. Like, what is wrong?
Right,
with
she was in her
him?
head the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just made her feel really comfortable.
I thought it was a very sweet, very fun date. that
If
they
I was
did.
like
Yeah.
nervous, I wouldn't want to like have to learn choreography.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot to think about that. And it was like their first dance.
What was Ben's date?
So Ben's date, it wasn't actually a date. So what happened was Ben, she was like off camera speaking about, speaking her mind. And she said, I know before the date, she said, I know what my heart wants, and it's not Ben. And we see Ben getting ready and her approaching the door, like, saying, okay, we're going on our date now. But instead, she speaks to him and ultimately ends up breaking up with him.
Yeah, and I just want to point
It's a
out.
boring date.
Yeah, a little bit of a boring
So
date.
when she talked to
great
her,
date.
when she talked to her dad, she was wearing this like jean-looking jumpsuit.
Oh, yeah.
And then it went to the next day, and it was her date with Zach, and then then she was meeting with Ben, and she was in the same outfit
I saw that.
from
I
the
noticed
day
that too,
before.
but I was like, is that? was
So
that in my
I
head?
think that she sent home Ben after talking to her dad, and then the next day had a date with Zach, and she was in her head because she had just sent Ben home, and she was confused about did I make the right decision? And I think that's what the situation
These editors
was.
are good at mixing things up in
Yeah.
timelines.
Yeah.
it could be
Good
that.
catch.
Yeah, that is a good catch. Good insight.
Thanks.
And so breaks up with Ben. He's of course still in love with her, and then final rose time. Mm-hmm. What did you think about the final rose?
I felt like that place was going to catch on fire.
Oh yeah, it was. It looked like
There's definitely mixed reviews online about the setup. Some
Okay.
people say it's really ugly and like the worst thing ever, but then other people are like, this is so beautiful. They
I
did
don't-
such a good job.
I don't think it was ugly.
I didn't think it was
I-
ugly
it
either.
wasn't ugly.
The
but I
pampas
was
grass.
concerned about the dryness of the and the fires. going on.
Oh yeah. Was there fire?
There was like a bunch of different fires and little fire pits.
They could have burned multiple acres of land.
Yeah.
They had no land to burn. It was just all
Oh, it was
Sounds
just
like
a
a
bunch
news
of
report.
dust. and
desert.
Yeah.
dirt. Okay.
But yeah, I think it was an okay scenery. I mean, for what they had, then I guess that's all they could do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think she teased him at one moment, like they always do with the final rose. But she says,
Oh, she
said a
hesitates.
but with. She said he did his part in his spiel about how much he loves her and this and that and wants to be with her and affirms her. And then it's her turn, and she says all these great things, and then she says, "And I love you," but. And then she paused.
And she cries.
And she cried.
I swear the editors made that pause even longer.
Probably.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because
And then
it made my heart drop. I was like, oh my God, she's
no, yeah. I was like,
Because before, when she was talking to Chris, it seemed like she was really unsure,
yeah,
and like that it was almost like they were forcing her to go up there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no, this is not gonna end
Yeah.
well.
Tris was concerned
and
for some
there was
reason.
Yeah.
I didn't even see this moment, but I saw it in the preview, and it was where she was crying.
Yeah,
there.
where was that crying scene?
I knew that was not her being upset about something. I knew that was happy tears.
But I never
Right?
saw that crying scene
I never
actually.
saw- I never
They
saw it
showed
occur
like
either.
a million times.
But I didn't see it last night.
Yeah, I didn't see it last night either.
No, they showed it.
Well,
Because I was like telling my friend, I was like, no, that's her
During
crying
the final,
from
when she got engaged at some
Yeah.
point, she actually was
But
crying.
she was far
Yeah, they
away
showed
I didn't
from
see it.
anyone. There was no one around her in the preview.
And play clip now.
It was like just a shot of her face. They were blocking out him. And they made it so in the previews they made it seem like it was her crying like sad tears, like
They were happy tears.
because they would play like the dun 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 music behind it. What?
I don't recall it. I gotta.
Okay.
We'll have to figure
I
it out.
promise
later.
it happened because I pointed it out last night.
Okay. I was
Okay.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
Really?
I was looking
I
for
was
it.
too. I was like, why is she sat there?
Because they played different music behind the clips.
That is it for the whole season.
They took a taxi back home.
I took the taxi
yeah.
back home. Yes, that was so cute.
That was really
Taxi.
cute. Taxi.
I thought that was adorable.
It's taxi.
Taxi.
Taxi, and we have after the final rose. We have no idea what's going on after that. If
Well,
you
we
have to
got
watch-
one. We got one with Zach or
With Claire.
but not Tayshia.
Yeah, no. After the final rose interview, because I guess the the morning talk shows had exclusive rights on that one or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
That is it for the season finale of The Bachelorette. Catch us next time on the season premiere of what?
Of Matt, the new Bachelor.
Whoa.
He's so adorable. I cannot wait to see this season. It's going to be different. According to the
Little bit
previews,
different.
I think these girls aren't probably the classiest girls that we've seen.
I'm happier that I get to review a bunch of females as opposed to a bunch of guys.
I know. I love The Bachelor because I love seeing the girls because there's so much drama involved.
So much drama with the girls.
So, and there wasn't a lot of drama in Tayshia's season.
It's very chill.
Very chill. Good group of guys.
One final note is Tayshia didn't give her final rose to the person that she gave her first impression rose to. Follow us on Instagram at This Is Not a Date Podcast. Taxi!